Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, Arctic, the 12th Fatui Leakinger, and in today's video we are going to be talking about a complete sub-DPS build guide for Yelan. Now, her main primary role is actually a sub-DPS, so this is going to be the general way that you want to actually build your Yelan. I'm going to be talking about the best weapon choice for sub-DPS and also the best artifact choice for sub-DPS. And that's basically going to help you get the most damage out of her sub-DPS, which is basically your burst. So the thing that gives Yelan most of her damage as a sub-DPS is going to be her elemental burst right here. And what this elemental burst does is that whenever your character uses a normal attack, or also whenever Yelan's E skill lifelines explode, that's going to basically trigger one of these exquisite throw, as it's called right here. And what that's going to do is it's going to deal damage based on your max HP times 3 right here. So at level 10, it's going to be 8.77% of your max HP times 3. This burst does last 15 seconds with an 18-second cooldown at 70 energy cost, so it's actually a pretty solid amount of stats right here. And for the whales out there, if you go for Constellation 2, you're going to be getting an extra one of these like Hydra Sword type things, and so that's going to increase your sub DPS by actually quite a bit. So if you really want mega super duper sub DPS, I would go for C2. Now in terms of her best weapon as a sub DPS, I have already actually made a complete weapons guide if you want to check that out, but I'm going to focus on several of the options that I think are going to be the best for her sub DPS role. Out of the 3-star options, since these are actually viable because Yelan only scales with like HP, I think this recurve bow is actually going to be relatively viable because it's going to give you a whole bunch of HP, up to 46% HP, so definitely nothing to sleep on. That's going to increase your whole kit's damage, including her sub DPS. Then I think the other viable 3-star for sub DPS is going to be the slingshot, because what this does is it increases your crit rate by 31%, so that's a pretty good amount of crit rate just for a weapon substat. And the passive on this is actually pretty good if you are really close up to enemies and you're going to be using Yelan's like special charge attack. You can get some pretty good damage off of this along with its crit rate. It's going to be a pretty solid weapon to use. Out of the 4-star options, Stringless is obviously a go-to weapon considering that it's going to be good all around just because of its passive right here, increasing your elemental skill and elemental burst damage, which is where most of Yelan's like sub DPS damage actually comes from. Into this, it also has elemental mastery as its substat up to 165 right here, so that's going to be extremely good if you are running her as a sub DPS for like pyro characters. You can actually run her as a sub DPS for like electro charge teams and use like an electro main DPS like Raiden's Shogun. That could actually work pretty good because Yelan's going to be creating lots of like electro charge damage as well, and electro charge is actually pretty solid. Favonius Warbow is also going to be an extremely good option if you are going for like a 4-piece emblem build, because what this is going to give you is a lot, and I mean a lot, of energy recharge, up to 61% right here. And the passive is also going to help out with your energy economy of your whole team quite a bit, because this is going to make it to where whenever you crit, you're going to be getting that extra like energy particles right here. Sacrificial Bow is also another great option for that kind of specific role, although this does have less energy recharge than the Favonius Warbow, but you do get this special passive right here that's going to basically reset your E skill cooldown, which could actually be pretty good on Yelan for her overall DPS, so definitely keep an eye out for this weapon. And Hunt is also another great option as a sub DPS because it does come with crit rate 27%, a little bit less than the slingshot. So if you do want that extra little bit of crit rate, then it's not necessarily going to be as good as a slingshot. Passive is actually going to give you a little bit of ad grouping and some damage, so it could actually be a pretty decent trade-off. The 5-star options, LG for the End is probably going to be one of the better weapons to use, considering that it has energy recharge as a substat, 55% right here. It's going to be really good, plus the passive on this is also extremely good for like team synergy and support, since Yelan is also going to be able to proc this passive on here, not too readily, but readily enough that you're going to be able to make use out of this quite a bit. Solar Star I also think is going to be another great 5-star option just because it gives you a good amount of crit rate, 33%, so it's basically the same as a slingshot, but then you're also getting this extra like elemental burst and elemental skill damage by 12%, so it really is going to be kind of similar to a slingshot. Honestly, I would just go for a slingshot over this weapon, to be honest, because you're not going to be able to make use of this second part of the passive right here that much because it's focused on attack, and Yelan does not focus on attack, she focuses on HP. And then Yelan's specific weapon, this one's actually called the Aqua Simulacra. This is going to give you like a bunch of HP, and it's also going to increase the damage dealt by 20%, plus this gives you a bunch of crit damage, so it's really going to be extremely good on Yelan just overall, and extremely specifically for like sub DPS, I would say. Also made an artifact build guide for Yelan, so make sure you check that out if you want a little bit more of a broad coverage of this, but the ones that I think are going to work specifically well for sub DPS are as follows. Wanderer's Troop 2-piece is going to be good for sub DPS if you are running like a Vaporize or Electrocharge, because you're going to get 80 points of Elemental Mastery, so that's pretty good. I think is also going to be a good sub DPS option if you are running her in a Cryo team, because this is going to increase your crit rates by a whole bunch when you're actually attacking like Cryo enemies. So really something to keep in mind. We got the Emblem of Severed Fate 4-piece, which I think is probably going to be the best overall if you are going specifically for sub DPS, because this gives you energy recharge so you can have good burst up time. Plus, if you do stack a whole bunch of energy recharge, you're going to be able to get a lot of elemental burst damage bonus from this. You can get up to a maximum of 75% bonus from this, and it's based on 25% of your energy recharge, so definitely something pretty good. Also, make sure you don't sleep on the Tenacity of the Millelith 2-piece. I think this and the 2-piece Heart of Depth is probably going to be the best overall set, just because it's HP increase plus Hydro damage increase from Heart of Depth. But the 4-piece on this, don't use it. It's not worth it. It can't even really work with Yelan. But yeah, the 2-piece of this mixed with like a 2-piece of like Noblesse Oblige or Heart of Depth, I think is probably going to be your best shot for like sub DPS if you're going for like more crit damage stats or just general stats versus like energy recharge. Anyway, that's about it for the video. Let me know if you liked it down in the comments section below, and remember to subscribe. It really helps me out a lot if you do, but I will see you guys in the next one. Farewell.